Alright, okay, welcome to video number 2 of this series. So in this video, we're going to be talking about, we're going to be just sort of taking like a safari of Photoshop, just sort of look at what the different tools are and where to find them, so that you can navigate Photoshop as we go through the demos. Yeah, alright, let's dive right in. Okay. So this is how Photoshop should look by default. If you don't have that, you can just go to Window, Workspace, and just reset your workspace. And of course, Essentials default here is the default workspace. So you can select that. If you have that selected and it still doesn't look right, just reset. Okay, so I'm going to start at the top and work my way around the screen. Very quick overview. This section up here at the top, this would be settings of whatever tool is currently active. Here, this is the tools palette where you select whichever tool. Color palette shows active colors. Over here, this really is the heart of Photoshop. Layers and channels and paths. Most important is layers. Adjustments. So this will make more sense once we dive into different layers. Styles, we don't really need to know right now. Color is pretty self-explanatory. Swatches are handy. This space is where other tools live. So Photoshop has a lot more tools than you see here, clearly. If you go into Window, you can just sort of see the ones that are checked are the ones that are active. So all of these different cool tools are not currently active, and you know, if you click on it, then that adds that to this area by default. So yeah, that's a general tour of the place. And of course, you can move things around. You know, and if ever things get to a point where you're like, okay, so I've moved a bunch of stuff around, I've opened a bunch of tools, and I can't, if things get messy, reset is always right there. Okay, so why don't we open up a file? So let's just say I'm just going to create something for the web. So 72 pixels per inch is right. Maybe I just want this to be like a small image. I don't know. Let's just have it be 600 by 600. A totally random number, but fine. Here you can, there are different, like, you know, presets, pretty self-explanatory. Essential thing, just remember from like the first video, is pixels per inch, and of course be aware of your pixel size. So if you're doing something for print that requires 300 pixels per inch, this would be, you know, 2 inches by 2 inches. So just make sure you know, you've got that right. And of course, color mode, if I'm doing something for print, I would be selecting CMYK color instead. Oh, I forgot to mention in the last video that I do have links in the note for further readings. So if you're talking about like different color depth, for example, different bits here, there's a great Linda video on that. I've linked it in the notes. I'm going to go back to the settings I want here. So I'm going to create something, just an image for web. I'm going to go with RGB color, 72 dpi, 600 by 600. Yeah, that was about right. Okay. So of course, Command Save is your friend. Let's just save this as vid2. There we go. Now, let's look at layers. So let's first bring something in. I'm gonna bring. Let's just say I've got this lovely sunburst design here and this poo emoji. I want to bring these in, so I'm just gonna bring them over, drag them in. I'm gonna hit enter, leave it as it is, whatever size they bring it in. Now, note that when I hit enter, Photoshop, there's this little icon that exists here in the layer preview. I'm just gonna try to see if I can make this even bigger. Panel options. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's useful. Anyway, so this little icon in like the lower the lower right corner, this shows that this is a smart object. So what this, as opposed to say, I'm gonna duplicate this layer just to show you what a non-smart object, a dumb object is. So I'm a Command J duplicates the layer. I'm going to right click and rasterize. There, this icon disappears. I'm just gonna quickly move this over, maybe a little bit more. Okay, so I've got these two layers selected. And I'm going to hit Command T for transform. And I'm going to resize them. I'm going to make them little tiny, like that. Okay, and I hit Enter to confirm that I want them that size, and I'm going to scale them back up. And as you can see, the dumb object is getting pixelated. Poomoji is doing fine. Of course, we can keep expanding Poomoji. It's going to get to a point where it will pixelate just because the actual source image isn't large enough. I'm going to undo that. Actually, I don't even need to undo it. Just Command Z, undo. Command Alt Z to undo even more. Just hitting Control Z is just going to toggle your last two moves. Okay, so essentially what I'm trying to highlight here is that smart objects are your friends because they work like links. They link to the local file on your computer. So as so that it's always pulling information from there and it's not throwing information out. What happened when we resized this rasterized version of Poomoji was that as it got smaller, Photoshop's like, well, we don't need that information anymore, and threw it out. So when we sized it back up, there wasn't enough information to then give us a sharp image. So there's that. Smart objects are your friends. Layers are also your friends. Let's talk a little bit about like non-linear editing. So to edit something linearly would be, say, for example, I'm just going to do this very quickly. To say, I'm just going to do a very obvious one. I want to change the color of something, and then I want to, say, adjust its contrast, for example. I want to do this. Now, if I decided I like this contrast, but I don't like the blue hue, I've got no way of keeping the contrast, and I would have to undo, and then redo my contrast, and then by then I would have lost whatever settings. I would have lost the exact settings, contrast settings that I had used. As opposed to nonlinear editing, which makes use of adjustment layers. So right here in the layers panel, 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth icon from the left, here, if you click on that, you'll find all these different adjustment layers. So for example, right now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to do a hue adjustment real quick. Just maybe slide that over to here. Yeah, okay, so I've got purple poo. Even after creating this layer, and then I'm going to create like say a contrast adjustment layer, a curves adjustment layer, and say I want to somehow say this is the contrast I want for some reason. So even after I've made these adjustments, I can go back and then adjust, my hue adjustments again, color adjustments. I can toggle it, I can turn it on or off. So this is non-linear editing where you can go back and adjust the changes that you've made. Of course, right now you'll see that this icon size is driving me nuts. Let's go back to this. Okay, so you can see that these adjustment layers are affecting everything underneath them. So we want it only to affect Poomoji. And in order to do that, you would clip a layer. To clip a layer means to have it affect only the layer that it's clipped to. So to do that, hold Alt between your two layers and click. And there you go. You see this little arrow here, which means now curves and hue and saturation are clipped to Poomoji. So yeah. All right, next thing to know. Ooh, I'm gonna try to keep this fast. Next super useful Photoshop thing is mask. Okay, so we want a little Poomoji. We want it to be in the center, and we want to get rid of that glaring white background. We can do that by masking. So let's select all of the white and get rid of it. Now, you might want to just do this, like select and hit delete. Well, the problem with that is like if by throwing away pixel data, like you can't get it back later on. That's also destructive, like linear editing. So to do nonlinear editing, you would want to do a mask. So for example, if right now I wanted, Pumoji's mouth to be gone as well, whatever, that's good enough. I'm gonna hit this mask button here, add layer mask. Ooh, okay, so this is actually a good illustration of what a mask does. So I've got this layers selected, and I hit mask. And what that's done is that it's created a mask that looks like this here. To look at just the mask alone, hold Alt and click on the mask. So it's created this. We want the inverse, right? Like we want to be able to see Pumoji and not the white bits. So I am going to hit Command I to inverse it. Basically, white means show, black means don't show, anything in between that's gray means opacity to whatever degree of gray that is. So I'm just going to click back on the main layer, and we can see that we've masked Pumoji out. So awesome thing about nonlinear editing is now I've decided, whoops, I've made a mistake. I kind of want Pumoji's mouth back. So all I have to do is select it, and I'm going to hit with my background color as white. Command delete fills your selected area with a color. So I'm with the layer mask selected. I am going, let's just go in here. With the layer mask selected, I am going to hit Command delete, and that's going to fill this area with white. Now, as we might expect, if we go back to the main layer, Alt click on the mask to return to the main, we can now see that Pumoji's got its mouth back. Yeah. Okay. Let me just look at my list here and see if there's anything else we should cover. Smart objects, adjustment, guides. Okay. Guides. Say, for example, if I wanted, a quick tip here, if you have like the marquee tool and you sort of hold and drag but don't let go, you can sort of do really quick and dirty like measurements. So let's just say for whatever reason I wanted Pumoji to be about like 100 pixels from the top, and I knew that I wanted about like 200 pixels of space at the bottom for text. I can do this by creating guides. So I can sort of and of course check your guides units before you use them. Right click on it. This is pixels. That is correct. So let's just say if I want a guide of here, I can drag it and try to get 100 pixels. Of course, that is not the efficient way of doing it. New guide, horizontal, 100 pixels. There, and that gives you 100 pixels from the origin up here. And then I'm going to do another guide, new guide. Let's see, horizontal. What would this be? Our file is like 600, so if I wanted 200 from the bottom, it would be at position 400 pixels. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to, I have selected the background layer. I'm just going to scale it up to fill. Quick thing about scaling. Let me undo that. So I scaled the starburst and kept it centered by holding down Alt as I resized it. I kept its aspect ratio fixed by holding down Shift. That would lock it to its original aspect ratio. There, I'm scaling it up. I'm going to scale Pumoji up to touch the top guide. But of course, I don't want to scale it from center because it's already sort of like at the right place at the 200 pixel guide mark. So I'm clicking and dragging on this crosshair and bringing it just right down to this line here. Now, when I hit Alt and Shift and scale, now Pumoji scales with this as the center. So that's handy to know. So to commit my changes, I'm going to hit Enter. There. So let's just say I am insane and I'm like, I think that these little like pixels here, it should be filled for whatever reason. So a more precise way of doing transforms than just like, clicking and dragging. I'm just going to move this here, it's snapping to the guide, which is nice. Is, with your tools, like tool settings up here. So now that we're in transform mode, I am going to use these settings here to transform in detail. This toggles maintain aspect ratio. I have no idea why they would set it to like unset by default, but let's just click it and set it to keep aspect ratio. And now I can do this and toggle it up or down. Another way of adjusting this is to slide it. Just click on the W and slide it. So let's just say I've got it to this size, and I just want to hit my arrow keys and have it go, nudge it up by one. There, perfect. Hit enter to commit. Look at this white line here. So what's going on is that Pumoji's mask is like getting scaled as well, but then, as it's getting scaled, there's some error. So it's not fully covering, it's not fully masking out the edges. So in this case, what you want to do is what's called a garbage mask. Basically, you want to select all of these areas, right? So you can select this and then hold shift to add a selection and do this, or you could select this area. Now I'm going to hit Command Shift I to inverse my selection. And then I'm just going to make sure that my background color is black. X toggles foreground background color. And I'm going to hit Command Delete. There. And now we've garbage masked this entire layer. Go back to the main. Ta-da! White line's gone. Okay, so let's add some text. I just hit T, the hotkey for selecting the text tool. So let's just say I want to add that right here. And I'm just going to say hello. Now, why am I not seeing what I'm typing? That's because of the position of this layer. Now, I've created a new layer while I am between a layer and the layer that's clipped to it. So automatically, it's clipping hello to the Pumoji layer. So to not do that, I'm just going to drag hello to the top, hit Alt, click between the layers, and now hello is no longer clipped to Pumoji. There. Okay, gonna scale this up. Do this quickly. Okay, done. All right, cool. So, how can we edit this type? I'm just going to show this real quick. These are probably the tools that I feel like people are most familiar with in Photoshop anyway. So I'm not going to waste too much time. That's your font, and that the typeface really is the correct word for it. That's your typeface. This is your type size. Here's the different ways words are aligned. That's your color. So let's just have it be like there. I want it to be this color. There. So let's just say I'm like, pretty happy with this. I want to align it to the middle and make sure it's in the middle. No guesswork, no like shifting this layer around. Now what I can do is just select this back layer. Now I'm holding down Command to select two of them. I'm going to go to my alignment, move tool, and up here you'll see different alignments. So I'm just going to say align to center. There we go. Perfect alignment. I think this is. I think we've pretty much covered. What I had set out to. There we go. In this video. So let's do a quick recap. So you've got your tools, which is on the left of the screen. You've got all these different panels that contain more information, including the one up here on the tool that you're currently using and the adjustments that you're currently making. You can bring up more of them by going to Window and selecting all of these more specialized tools as you need them. This configuration is called your workspace, and if it ever gets messy, you can go in here, workspace, and you can save a custom workspace if that's what you want to do by doing new workspace, or you can hit reset to get back to basics. We covered layers and masks and how the most powerful thing about Photoshop is all of its different layers and how you can separate out actions such as these adjustments to adjustment layers. You can use masks both on your actual image and even on the adjustments. So let's just say right now, if I wanted half of the Pumoji to be just half of it to be purple, I'm gonna have my selection tool. I'm gonna feather it by 40, just because I feel like it. There, with the mask selected, I'm going to fill the selected area with black. And now, as you can see, since I feathered my selection, I got a nice gradient here. And therefore, this hue adjustment is applied correspondingly to its mask. Alright, so I had to chop off the end of the last video I made and do this little addition because I totally forgot to talk about blend modes. So I'm gonna go back to Photoshop. Alright, so here's the addition. Alright, I've got the Pumoji layer selected. Blend modes, the best way to explain them is to see them. You've got all of these different ones here. So for example, if I put multiply, that just takes the colors in this layer and darkens the one underneath. Super useful hotkey is Shift and plus and minus. That will roll you through the different types of blend modes. So yeah, useful, good to know. All right, okay, now we're done with our basic Photoshop tour. I can now conclude this video and go on to export demos. All right, cool. How do I stop this video? How do I do this?